Today's video is sponsored by Betterhelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. Betterhelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. Each one of us wants to have some form of influence over other individuals. I mean, there are times when you will let your standards and your values and principles be known when you're engaging with others. And you want to communicate those kind of things in such a way that empowers them, and that you create an atmosphere for goodness and decency to thrive. You want to empower other individuals. Notice my use of the word empower based on what we're going to be talking about in just a moment. You want to be a force for good. And when you have a healthy influence, you're going to be known as somebody who strengthens relationships, and you create an atmosphere where collaboration can occur. Now, as I say this, you're already realizing that narcissists don't think that way. Narcissists don't just want influence. They want dominance. They want power, and they fall in love. They become enamored with their own approach towards power to the point where it becomes incredibly detrimental toward you. And I know that most of you have some pretty strong stories that you could tell about how narcissists will abuse their efforts to find power, and you're in the low position as a result. With the narcissist, one of the most common thing, or some of the most common things we can say is they have an unnatural craving to be in control, and they're very proactive in the way that they try to control you. They don't leave a whole lot of room for the imagination. They have to be in control. They have a very selfish agenda that they will push. They want to bend you into their direction. One of their goals is they want to make you an enabler, and they'll superimpose their principles and their opinions and their preferences upon you. And it's not like they're just they're willing to harm you. They're willing to diminish you. They want to harm you. They want to diminish you so that they can prove that they're a force to be reckoned with, and you're a nobody unless you do what they want. It's a very sick way to live. Now, what I've done here is I put together a little list of about 10 of the most common indicators of the narcissist who's in love with power in such a way that it's going to be detrimental toward you. And I want to go through these and go through in your mind the checklist here, and then we're going to talk about, what all this means for you. We know that narcissists are abusers of power with these things. Number one, they are very exploitive in nature. And when I say exploitive, what I mean is to the narcissist, you're simply a tool to be used. It's like, okay, when you're in my world, what good are you going to do for me, and how are you going to make my life a little bit better? And I don't really care what it does to you. You exist to prop me up, and we're going to make that happen. And they'll use you and manipulate you as much as you allow, and it's just first nature to them. Now, right on top of that, number two, they can be very oppressive in the way that they engage with you. They'll treat you in ways that are just very straight up demeaning and harmful. And they don't really care if you're harmed in the way, or if you're hurt, or if you feel offended. It's like, not my problem. Number three, they are profoundly insensitive. They have no compassion. Truly, they'll think toward you, I really don't care about you and your feelings. They have a low regard for any kind of weakness that you might have, or just a need that you might have. And as a result, they have no regard for the fact that you feel diminished when you're in their presence. And again, it's like, not my problem. That's on you. Number four, they make heavy use of constant coercion and pressure. You know that when you're in that person's individuals, they have a strong need to force your compliance. And if it's against your will, so be it. They operate with what I refer to as strong imperative thinking. You better, you must, you have to, you're supposed to. And it's very difficult to the point of impossible to break them out of that imperative pattern of thinking. Number 5, they will harass and ridicule anyone who differs. If you have a thought or a preference, they can make fun of you. They can mock you. There's constant criticism. Where did you come up with an idiot idea like that? And criticism is just first nature to them. They think that they'll say anyway that they're being helpful, but it's very destructive. Number 6, these abusive, power-hungry narcissists will play favorites. They may find some individuals who will go along with the scheme. And it's like, yes, see this person over here? Now that's a really good individual because they do exactly what I want. And so they reward compliance, and then they'll punish any kind of distinction or uniqueness that you might bring. And you have no reason or no allowance to think and feel differently as you do. Number 7. These individuals have anger that's never far away. It takes very little to trigger these individuals with their agitation. They get triggered often and easily, and sometimes it just comes out of almost nowhere. The smallest difference can set them off, or maybe you just showed up and they get mad. And when they get angry, it's not pretty. It can be very ugly, and it can be very harsh, and it can be extremely demeaning. And to them, it's part of that manipulative, exploitive tool. Well, I'll show you that I'm a force to be reckoned with. Number 8, and this is one of the ones that drives so many people crazy. They have a strong commitment to alternate reality. How many times have you thought to yourself, I can't get through to this person? I try to apply logic and reason. I try to sit down and have an adult conversation, and they're so profoundly committed to their way of life, no matter how unhealthy it is, that nobody can seem to break through. Well, that leads directly to number 9, and that is they're impossible to please. Even when you think, I'm going to be a good person, I'll be a good soldier, and when you give your good efforts, they might compliment you, although they're not known for that. But there can be kind of a suspect, like, yeah, what are you up to? And or they may say something like, well, you could have done better, or yesterday you certainly did this. So they're not going to give you credit for that because they can't be pleased. And then number 10, there's lots of accusation and blame. They cannot admit their own faults. They can't take responsibility for their many deficiencies. It's always somebody else. And then what's worse is when they treat you poorly and then you don't react well. And by the way, nobody tends to react really well to abusiveness. Then they're going to turn around and blame you. That's called victim shaming. They're masters at that. Now, we do have a word for all of this that I'm describing. I've given you 10. There's a lot more that I could offer to you. But the word that describes all of this is indeed abuse. These power-hungry narcissists are toxic to the core. And they bring abuse, and they bring hardly anything good. And even when they do bring something good, they have a way of stepping all over it. Now, there's certain things I'm hoping you can understand about these individuals because they want to make sure that you believe that you're a no-good, sorry person who makes their life miserable. If there's any problems in the world, it starts with you. Understand, these are deeply psychologically disturbed individuals. Despite their protest, they're very maladaptive. They have not learned how to manage life well. There's a psychological ineptitude, and so they've locked into this black and white binary thinking, and they have very little nuanced way of thinking, and so they're disturbed. They don't know how to manage their own emotions well at all. They just let anger run. In addition, understand that these individuals will never have any reasonable measure of empathy. They have very little conception of that because they have a low conception of love, if that at all. They don't know how to relate with individuals in a loving and kind way. They don't prioritize it. They prioritize dominance instead. That being said, we can also say that these individuals have given up on decency. In their minds, decency doesn't work. Now, you may have some individuals who will kind of say that they're a decent person, but in fact they won't. In addition, we're going to say that they've turned off their conscience. Now, you might have some that operate like a moral police, and they'll say, well, let me tell you what to do. And then they can hide behind virtuous kind of principles and all like that, when in fact it's phony baloney. Or you have the far extreme, and they can be sociopathic. They don't care. And their conscience is turned off because it was hardly ever turned on in the first place. And sometimes you have a combination of both. And then in addition, their exaggerated craving for influence and control stems directly from their exaggerated insecurity. And it's very important for you to realize this. In their way of thinking, they have to have power over you, because if they allow you the freedom to be what you are, they're afraid that you'll say, good, I don't want to be around you. That they're afraid of being deemed irrelevant. And that's such an important feature with their power grabs. Now, understanding this, I'm hoping there's some adjustments you can make. First, despite their invalidations toward you, I'm hoping you can validate yourself. You matter. You make sense when you say, I'd like something better, and your needs are legitimate. You deserve civility. Did you hear that? I'm hoping you can claim that for all it's worth. Beyond that, I'm hoping you can stop trying to pander to the power broker. Recognize, I've just mentioned this, you have a free will, and it's not helpful for you to stifle your free will. Lean into your own uniqueness. You don't. Another thing I'm hoping you can adjust is you don't have to prove your worthiness. The narcissist says you don't have worth, but guess what? They're not the ones who proclaim that. Worthiness is part of your humanity. It was there on the day you were born. It's part of your dignity. Lean into that. In addition, I'm hoping you can learn to emotionally detach. One of the sad things I say is sometimes you have to build in a certain amount of pessimism. Okay, I understand when I'm around certain people like that power broker narcissist, I just can't expect anything that's going to lift up my spirits. Therefore, I'm going to unhook emotionally. And then in addition, it can also lead you to say, not only am I going to emotionally detach, sometimes you're going to need to physically detach. Whether it means that you greatly minimize your physical contact with that person and staying only on a functional level only with them, in other words, when you really feel like you need to, or sometimes you just need to remove yourself entirely. Rather than carrying the shame that the narcissist wants to place on you, I'm hoping you can carry your own your own best traits. Own your goodness, own your decency. And when the narcissist reminds you, I must have power, I must dominate, I have to have control over your mind, that's their abuse, and you're going to have none of that. Here on Team Healthy, we stand for dignity, respect, and civility. I hope that can be a bedrock for your way of thinking and being. I hope that videos like this can give you some good insight and good food for thought. If you have not already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. I genuinely appreciate you allowing me to be on your journey with you, and I hope that you find it to be beneficial. Now, you know that I have, and so if you hadn't hit the subscribe button, go ahead and do that, and we'll keep more videos coming to you. You know that I have a sponsor. It's Betterhelp.com. It's an online therapy resource. If you have a need, and many times when you're going through these kind of things, it can you would have the need for somebody to help you sift that out. There's a link below the video here. Please, as the need is there, get the assistance that you would need. I've had good feedback from people who have used Betterhelp. It can be very effective with you. And in addition, if you go to my website, you'll find that I have lots of resources. Chief among my resources are my courses, and each course has at least 25 teaching videos with handouts and guided questions. It's meant to have a very strong therapeutic bent for you. We have courses on anger management and on establishing boundaries, finding your freedom, and then also what the healthy way of life looks like. On top of the courses, we also have my webinars, which are 90-minute PowerPoint presentations. Those are all quite available for you. So as the need is there, go seek those out. In addition, we have my articles and my books, so lots of resources. Power grabs just mean that's the act of an insecure person. I want you to stand in your own security. It's necessary for you to be you. And in doing so, I'm hoping you're going to be able to be well on your way towards finding your personal peace.